Hi, and welcome to the Ballyhoobridge podcast. I'm your host, Heather, and I'm so glad you're here because I have a question for you. Do you ever feel stuck? Do you find yourself struggling to take the next steps in your business or even your life? Figuring out your next steps and having the courage to actually take them is the beginning of a road to self-discovery and healing. It's a journey that's uniquely yours that will uncover who you really are and help you show up as your true, authentic self, not only in life, but in business. In this podcast, we'll talk about marketing and business and spirituality and mindset. We're breaking it all down so you can build the life you truly desire and deserve. We're going to explain the jargon, clear up some misconceptions, and discover we're not all so different. We'll bridge the gaps between what you think you know and what you think you don't. Let's dive in. Pivot. To pivot is to turn. Feels like the word of the day. It's the word of the day in my life. It's been the word of the day for the past couple years, hasn't it? This crazy pandemic. The truth is, I don't know that that's gone away though, even though the pandemic part seems to have lessened, because it feels like the world is in a race to return to normal. Have people say that to me. When do you think things will go back to normal? I can't wait till things go back to normal. Oh, sweetie, I hate to tell you this. We're not going back to normal. That normal is gone. It doesn't exist. We have to move forward. We have to look for, I guess, what's our new normal? Establish that new normal. But I'm starting to wonder, is normal the right word? Are we using the right word? Hang on. What does normal mean? Let me look. Okay, normal means conforming to a standard. Usual, typical, or expected. Okay, I like the last part. Usual, typical, expected. That feels right. Conforming, not so much. I feel like conforming is, you're kind of forcing something to fit this mold. And I feel like maybe that's where we go wrong. Maybe that's why normal's not the word. I feel like I'm looking for my comfort zone again, or a routine, more than I'm looking for normal. I don't know how many of you guys know this, but I'm actually in South Louisiana, and I have witnessed a fair amount of pivots in my life in this area. The huge oil spill that happened a few years ago. You've got COVID, the loss of drilling contracts, the loss of jobs, and hurricane after hurricane after hurricane. Y'all, there are areas down here that they were absolutely devastated by some of those storms. And you add that on top of the job loss and whatnot that some of them had been experiencing. It was looking pretty dire. But one thing I'll say about the people down here, they don't give up. They found a way. They changed jobs. They picked up work wherever they could. Some learned new skills, and they sort of watched that old way of life fade away, and they pivoted and they found their new normal. Now, I'm going to tell you though, it wasn't in everything. Their culture, the things they love, their family, the things they love to do, hunt, fish, all of those things didn't go away, but they pivoted so that they could have an income again. So they chose what they changed. They made choices. Now, some would say that this is how Southerners are built. I actually agree with that. We don't really wait for someone to come bail us out. We tend to reach out to each other. We lend a hand to whoever needs it, and we just get shit done. That's just what we do. But I would venture to say that this is not solely a Southern trait. I think it's a people trait. Actually, I'm going to go further. I think it's a mindset. And that mindset is invaluable when you need to pivot. A pivot can come for a variety of reasons. If you maybe you already have a business and maybe it's a hurricane sized curveball, and maybe it's a drop in sales, a shift in the market, a new competitor. And sometimes, though, it's just a life pivot and we've just found ourselves growing kind of stagnant in that nice little box of comfort zone that we've created. At any rate, sometimes it's just time for a pivot. It's time to look at things differently, to try a different tack, to turn upside down and see if your challenge looks different that way. You reevaluate and you adjust. I know for a lot of people these days, the pivot seems to be job related. That seemed to have started during the pandemic, especially. You had a change in how the employment culture looked. People were losing jobs, or they were having to change how they perform their job. You saw people leaving jobs and starting businesses. Of course, with the economic state of the U.S. right now, the need for side gigs to make extra money and things like that seems to be becoming more important than ever. For me, this part of the pivot is actually fairly easy, talking about business and marketing and helping people find the strategies that they need to be successful. I mean, that's what I do. I can talk about that all day. But there's another side to this pivot for me that's kind of thrown me for a loop, and it's what's going on in my life right now. And it's about my health. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I've always been fairly healthy. I mean, I eat too much Southern and Cajun food on the regular, and I don't exercise the way I should. And of course, I'm getting older. But most of my health concerns have been fairly minor and nothing I couldn't handle. You just had to make a few different choices. But for the past few months, things have been very, very different. And if I'm truthful about it, the year before that was a little iffy too. But like millions of other people on the planet, I got COVID. At the time that I'm recording this, I'm about 7 months out from having COVID. And the truth is, it wasn't bad. It was pretty mild, in fact. We were mainly just really tired for a few days. And I'm not going to bore you with all the crazy details, but this is hard for me to admit and to talk about in public. I've actually gotten worse since then. I have what I can only guess is long COVID. And again, I don't really like admitting this to anyone, but I feel like I'm kind of getting weaker by the day. The crazy thing is, I'm currently playing Stump the Doctor and I'm winning. So far, 3 doctors have looked at me and said, I don't know. I don't know. This doesn't make any sense. The good thing is, at least they're somewhat listening and they're trying. They're running a myriad of tests, all to no avail, of course. And that's great. And that's good. And that's helpful. And in fact, I had one pretty serious one in particular come back negative. And I was overjoyed, truly. Could not be happier, could not feel more relief to have that negative test. But the truth is, it kind of gave way to some disappointment. And look, like I said, I certainly didn't want that test to be positive, but all I could think was, what now? And there didn't seem to be a what now. They don't seem to really know what else to do. They can't give whatever's wrong with me a name. So how are you supposed to fight against it? How are you supposed to make it better if you don't even know what it is? Now, of course, in the meantime, what most people in even my most inner circle don't really know is I'm fairly weak most of the time. I struggle to focus. I have brain fog. There are times when the fatigue and the weakness is just debilitating. I struggle to even function. You know, I exercise days that I feel human, and then I may end up spending at least a day trying to let my body recover from just that exertion. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, working's a challenge, and not just my day job, but my coaching and strategy business as well. My life has become this juggling act. And I don't know, maybe it's not that different from being a parent, I mean, when you're a parent, you're juggling all these multiple schedules, and then you suddenly have to pivot because of a sick child or something like that. But I guess I felt like most of that we could work through. We figured it out. But for some reason, this just feels different. It feels like more. Maybe it's because I'm older and I'm more tired, but it's a new challenge every day. And I am on a struggle bus trying to wrap my head around how to do this. But how do I pivot to a new normal? I think that's part of my issue. It's like I said before, I kept thinking, oh, I'll feel better and things will go back to normal. But that may never be the case. Just like it is for the world, it may be that way for me. This has already been around for a while. It may be around for a while longer. So I think what I'm realizing and reminding myself of is that when big changes happen in people's life, that normal that they knew before may be gone. And now it's time to figure out, how do you pivot? How do you adjust so that you can still live a full and happy life? You know, there are a lot of things that can cause that need for a pivot. We said most of them before: health, age, a career change, catastrophic event. But what do you do when those things happen? How do you pivot? Now, I found myself trying some things, and I am a work in progress. I am a control freak in recovery, as we've talked about before. But I wanted to share some things that I have been doing and that have been helpful, and some things that people have suggested to me that I've tried, and I thought they might be helpful for you guys as well. The first thing I found myself doing was reevaluating what was important to me. It seems when you find yourself having less time that you can be productive, how you spend that time becomes even more important. I mean, let's be honest, I felt like I was already struggling to have time to get things done. And then I added health issues on top of that, and it just kind of added a whole new level of struggle. But what I realized is I needed to be aware of the choices I was making. I'm trying to balance work, business, family, fun, self-care. I mean, we're all doing that, right? And that is difficult enough. But now I had to put days in there where my plans were made, and then my body decided it was doing something different. And we have found ourselves having to pivot on the spot. I've had to completely redo my to-do list. I've had to throw my to-do list out the window. My family has had to step up and offer assistance for me to get things done. Are you like me? Do you hate asking for help? I feel like when I ask for help that I'm admitting that I'm weak and I'm vulnerable, which is not true. But that's where I found myself. I found myself hating asking for help. My friend, Coach Tammy, would tell me to pour grace on the table for myself. So that's actually been step one. Forgiving myself for my self-imposed need to do it all by myself. Realizing that this was not a sign of weakness, nor does it make me vulnerable. It makes me human. Remember the episode where we talked about control? This is one of the biggest lessons in giving up that need to control everything that I've had in years. So how many of you have decided to start a business and now feel like you have to spend all your time, every moment, building it? I was there. I was doing that. And I mean, you can do that, I guess, but I'm not sure how healthy it is. I think it's more important to allow yourself breaks. Allow yourself time to take care of yourself. You have to refill your cup. How many times have you heard this? You can't pour from an empty cup. When your body says rest, rest. Now hear me. I'm not saying use rest as an excuse to binge watch Netflix, but sometimes that's exactly what you need. Learning to sort of turn inside and understand, are you procrastinating or are you truly rejuvenating, which is important to your growth? both as a business owner and as a person. Sometimes the to-do list has to go out the window. Some days my health is better than others. I may have big plans and wake up having a bad day, but I still want to try to move things forward. On those days, I have to consider the task for the day. Sometimes I have to pivot. Maybe I can adjust those tasks for the day. The struggle for me, there's that control thing again, is letting go of the need to do things exactly how they were planned, but being willing to pivot and adjust. It all still gets done, just maybe not in that precise plan that I had before. I've also had to learn to ask for help and then actually take it. How many times have you asked for help or allowed someone to help you and then tried to control every aspect of the project? For those of you who can't see me, I'm raising my hand. I'm learning that allowing someone to help you is not weakness. It's actually courage. Because there's pushing through the pain and there's getting help so you can fight another day. Sometimes the rock is just too heavy and you need another person. Sometimes there are lots of boxes to unload in a limited time. So another set of hands means you actually meet your deadline. Have you ever thought about the fact that part of asking for help and allowing the help to actually happen is allowing the other person to live a part of their journey? Maybe it's not all about you. Maybe it's about them. Maybe it's a young person like my son who learns life lessons, or something as simple as how to complete a task that will help him in his adult life. Maybe the person helping needs to learn their own lesson. And by continuing to be a stubborn control freak, you're denying them that lesson. Here's a newsflash. I don't have to control everything. And neither do you. The biggest one for me to deal with, however, is just my choices. And there's kind of two parts to that for me. There are the times I choose not to work because my son's home and we're having a great family conversation, and I want to be present in those moments. There are family events that happen that I don't want to miss those. I like to visit my niece and her husband. I like to go to movies. We like to have date night. Maybe that's part of self-care, but to me, it's more about being present in your life. You can't let work consume you. You can't let anything consume you. The second part of the choices that I make aren't always about self-care or the other things that we've talked about. Sometimes they're just my brain shutting off and I play on an app. Is it productive time? No. Can I allow myself to regret it? Also no. Sometimes I'm just tired and I want to play. Or I'm in a silly mood and I want to play. Play is just as important as work. That play, doing maybe that mindless act, can start to act as a meditation of sorts. And you kind of get outside of your own head. That may be the very moment that the answer you were looking for pops into your head. Or you may see some silly video that gets your creativity flowing. Sometimes you have to just be, and that's okay. I think the most important thing I'm learning is to really listen to myself, my body and my mind. It's giving me all the clues I need, but I have to listen, and then I have to take the appropriate action. And some of that is the things that we've been talking about, so that I can live a more fulfilled life. And sometimes it's not even just about me. It's about the other people on this journey with me. The thought of being stubborn and I can do this all myself, damn it, that is the old me way of thinking. The new me is learning to be patient, first with myself and then with others. This is a lesson God has been trying to teach me for years. And sometimes God's got jokes, y'all. He's all, you won't get the point? Okay, here we go then. Listen, all of these things that we've talked about are valid and they're very human. But you have to be kind to yourself and be okay with the choices you're making. Don't beat yourself up. If you're starting a business, 9 times out of 10, it was to spend time with your family. I would bet that. So how is the choice to do that very thing a bad thing? Spend the time. Do the things. Live your life. I mean, I'll grant you that some of the things like TikTok can be a big time suck. Maybe try limiting your time on apps like that. That might be helpful. The key is to reevaluate when you need to, pivot when it's time. Sometimes it's more important to just sort of flow, to be a river and flow around and through those obstacles with grace and gentleness, and to just allow what is to be to happen. And I know what a tall order that can be, but to continue to put that effort and to try. Sometimes you'll fail and sometimes you won't. And you know what? It doesn't have to be something dreadful that causes a pivot. You may just be in a situation that no longer serves you. It may be a jolt of creativity. Someone or something may inspire you. Don't be so caught up in your comfort zones that you ignore it. Are you doing the thing that lights you up in your career? Are you taking care of yourself while still being present in your life? Maybe it's time to change things up. Change in your life can be both exciting and overwhelming at the same time, whether it's good or bad. And, realistically, change is happening all the time as our cycles of life happen. But most real and lasting change doesn't happen overnight. A circumstance may be the catalyst, like an illness or a storm, or in a positive instance, the day you got inspired and decided to go after the life of your dreams. But the truth is, real change happens after you begin to navigate your new life. I believe it's important to embrace it and stop apologizing when things don't go the way you planned. Stop apologizing to yourself or to anyone else. Give yourself time. Give yourself grace. Set realistic goals and do your best to just go with it when it doesn't work out the way you thought. If you really turn inward and listen to yourself and your inner voice and your heart, you'll know when it's time to pivot. Your body and your mind will tell you when. It'll tell you how. And that's when the magic happens. Let's go make some magic. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and that it helped you in some way. Make sure and like and rate and do all the things for our podcast. And of course, check out the show notes for links or any other important information. If you're looking for guidance in your journey, you can head over to my website, ballyhoobridge.com. There, you can choose a time for a free 30-minute clarity call. In the meantime, don't forget to take care of yourself. Until next time.